Hello, hello, good evening. Tonight, we thank you for joining us at Sacred Healing Purified Drinking Water. Take a sip with my co-host Halo Divine. Tonight is going to be a wonderful and phenomenal evening. We're going into informing you about good mental health practice. So we had some research that Miss Divine did this week, and we're going to go over this, and me and her are going to dialogue about what the research that she came up with. And hopefully, this will break down some barriers and get you to understand the what it is to have good mental health practice. So here we go. Good mental health is more than just the absence of mental illness. It means you are in a state of well-being where you feel good and function well in the world. According to the World Health Organization, good mental health is when you can cope with normal stresses of life, work productively. What is your perspective on this, Halo?
I think that that's necessarily pretty true. I feel like a lot of people say when you have bad mental health, that's when you can't function in daily life, or you have some sort of setback that causes you to not be able to function during the day. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a mental illness. It just means that you can't function during the day because of something. Um, and I feel like, uh, there's a lot that goes into mental health that doesn't involve mental illness, and that's why a lot of people struggle and go seek therapy and things like that with mental health struggles, because they can't function in daily life, and you know
What
there's
are
just more things
some
that they need to do.
what you would call a basic that could be a struggle for somebody?
Family problems is probably the most basic. Relationship problems,
Mm-hmm.
problems at work, uh, problems at school for young kids,
Right,
bullying, things like that, or just not being able to learn in school.
right,
Um,
right.
Having problems with your boss, having problems with your mother, father, children, uh, things like that are pretty basic.
Do you think that, and I've ran into things where, I ran into people and they've dealt with like pretty basic things like that. But a lot of times too, when they're so stressed with whatever they may be going through personally, like you said, not always so much as mental illness, that it can give you, I mean, all that stress and pressure can be very harmful to your mental state. So it can be an illness after, if you keep, that's all you keep putting on yourself, you know what I'm saying, to the point to where
Right.
you have a nervous breakdown. Have you ever heard somebody saying who just had a flat out nervous breakdown?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear that
and it
all
can
the time.
happen. It can happen where the stress just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and to the point to where they like, I don't even have the strength to even think. I don't have the strength to do anything, and then you just collapse mentally because your mind just cannot take that much pressure anymore. And a lot of people think, well, you don't know how long that pressure has been building until the break. You know what I'm saying? It could have been like a long time, and then all of a sudden that long longevity finally hit the person, and then they just like they have a mental breakdown because they just can't take it. And some people just think, well, it was just maybe for that present time. That could have been building up some years until finally you just snapped.
Yeah, that's kind of how depression works, actually,
Yeah,
because they say, like, you can have depression, or a lot of people experience depression. Like a huge percentage of people experience depression, but it doesn't become a mental illness until it lasts for like so many months or
right.
so many years,
Hmm.
or it's so intense that you can't function or something like that.
Right.
You
So,
hit the final break where you're just like, all right, I'm through at this point,
right.
and I need help.
And it's important, like you said, it's important that we all have an outlet, and that goes to our next research that you had was looking up, your well-being. Evidence suggests that there are 5 steps you can take to improve your mental health and well-being. Trying these things could help you feel more positive and able to get the most out of life. Good relationships are important for your mental health well-being. It helps you to build sense of belonging and self-worth, give you the opportunity to share positive experiences, provide emotional support, and allow you to support others. There are a lot of things that you can try to help build stronger and close relationships. Definitely having the right relationship in your life is very important.
Hmm.
for your
They
well-being
always
because
talk about
yeah.
cutting people off that are toxic in your life and that aren't serving you any purpose, or um
What do you think the
that
percentage,
causing you stress.
right, Halo, what do you think the percentages of we allow toxic people into our life to really uh, have an impact on our mental health?
I would say it's above 50 because I mean, especially at certain points, I don't think that happens for like long periods of time unless it's like family members or friends.
Right,
But it's much easier to estrange a friend than it is a family member. So a
right,
family member is probably closer to like 80 or 90% of the time, and when they're toxic,
right,
because you have those relationships and you know someone who knows someone in your family, obviously, or who keeps you around that person. Whereas
right,
friends that can fall off, but you might lose like a group of friends
right,
versus one friend. You know what I mean?
right. And another thing too, sometimes people don't know how to release. Like
Yeah,
they're toxic for you. Like time after time after time after time that they have proven that they are toxic, and they may leave you alone, but it's like you tend to go back and try to pull that toxic back in because that's all you experienced. So when you're not getting that, some people go like any attention is attention, which is not good.
yeah. They call it comfortable. You just get comfortable in your surroundings, and you
Hmm.
can also like trauma bond, which is
Yeah.
like when you go through something together, or you've been the person for so long and been through so much, like you kind of
Right.
just feel stuck with that person, and you can be like triggered back into it when you go through
Right.
similar things.
And that's hard to break for some people.
Hmm.
It really is. It's hard for them because it just seems like it's such a stronghold on them that they don't know how to push away. But it comes to the point to where is it your well-being? Are they toxic to the point to where you're insecure? Are they toxic to the point to where you're not getting much sleep? Are they toxic to the point to where you're not even um, eating like you should? You know what I'm saying? Because of all, you're just focused on sometimes
Damn.
just the toxicity of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could be a vicious cycle.
A lot of times those people are narcissistic too. Like you'll be in a relationship with someone who's a narcissist, and in the beginning, they'll draw you in with
Right,
all the
you're right.
emotion, and then they cut you off, and you're searching for it. So you're kind of staying in a toxic relationship, trying to find that love again. It happens
Talk
a lot
about
with
that,
that,
Halo, because you know what? Some people have I mean are in one
or even
or have are came out of one and have symptoms of what it was to be with a narcissist, which is
yeah,
very abusive.
or even like what do you call them? Like abusive relationships, kind of the
Yeah.
same. Once you're in the abuse, you kind of feel comfortable with it, or like you kind of feel like it's what you deserve, or things
But
like
you know what?
that.
That's mental abuse because a lot of times narcissists, that's very mental abuse. They
Yeah,
string you on, and then once you're strung on and
mental
you're
and
hooked,
emotional.
and then they throw you to the side as if you don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done a lot of studying on those things, and I've have come across some narcissist people that hey, whew, mm. We can pray for
Yeah.
you because you're gonna need it. Because I mean, that's very. I really feel for some people who are actually um, have experienced a relationship with a narcissist or in a relationship with a narcissist because it could be very mentally draining and
Mm-hmm.
exhausting.
Very much.
Yeah, you could probably give it like an up and down, up and down. Could you imagine just jumping up and down every 2 seconds, up and down every 2 seconds? One day you're up, one day you're down. That's pretty much
It's like
the
you don't know
exact
which way to go.
right. You're like, okay, am I gonna go up here today?
Are
I'm gonna go
we
down to here
are
today. So
we
that's
here
basically
today?
what it is. You're off balance. Like you're off
Right.
balance, which is
Yeah.
it's not good for you
Mm-mm.
because we have to have some stability. So this brings me to the next one. Let me see here what we got. This is a good one. Being active is not only great for your physical health and fitness, evidence has shows it can also improve your mental well-being by raising self-esteem, helping you get to the goals of challenges and achieve them, causing chemical changes in your brain, which can help to positively change in your mood. And I'm a witness to that because working out, I'm always telling people, for me, working out for me is therapy. Like it really is. It like evens me out. It evens for me, having a lot of energy to where I work out and I'm stabilizing my energy now because now I can I have that time where it's time to rest, because normally I don't rest like I should rest. And so working
Yeah.
out relaxes me to where I can rest better, because
Mhm.
before having incorporated any kind of physical fitness in my life, I didn't sleep well. I'd be up like
Yeah.
hours of the night, like thinking and thinking about this and thinking about that, and not getting no rest.
Yeah.
And some of us, there's a natural approach to it. It's just that, are we willing to take the natural approach to it? And I'm willing
Much
to take,
easier to take a pill than it is to exercise and get up and you
yeah.
just lazy
And
out
some
the bed
things we can
or off
do.
the couch.
Yeah, and some things we can apply, like exercising. That's not going to hurt us. You
Yeah.
know, it's not. Um, it feels like it's hurting us when we're going through and we're, out of shape. We can't breathe. Our legs are
Yeah.
aching. I always tell
That's what
people,
people are afraid of.
right, 5 minutes is better than no minutes. I remember the first time when I first started getting on it. Oh my goodness, I got on that treadmill. 5 minutes in, I was like, you know what? I can't even breathe. My chest is hurting, my legs is hurting. I feel like my head's about to explode. And then I had to keep going. Because if I would, the way I felt coming out of there, I was like, I feel like I'm about to fall out.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And it scared me. Like, you know what? I can't even walk 5 minutes on the treadmill. That was
Yeah.
a wake up call sometimes, because I don't want to be to the point to where like I don't want to be sick. And that's where, and then that's another thing too, Halo, when I'm always telling when the mind is sick, the body is sick,
Mhm.
you know? So it's good,
When you're
positive.
depressed and you're sad and everything, your body
Right.
feels like tired and
It doesn't
when
it
you're
tell them, Halo, when
low
you're sad,
endorphins.
tell them how
Endorphins
your
give you energy.
body responds to that. Tell them how your body
Mhm.
responds to that.
Oh, you want me? Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you were just being rhetorical. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. So, um, basically, like when you work out, or the opposite when you don't work out, you can fall into an out of depression, or the opposite if you're depressed, and if you're happy, you might want to work out or not work out. And so it's like, but if you do things like work out and you push yourself even when in those days when you really don't feel like it, that motivation and that drive and that commitment, you can pull yourself out of a depression just by working out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be harder, but like it's much better than taking a pill
Mhm.
every day, for the rest of your life, for however long it endures until you get on the right path. you
Right.
know
Yeah. And,
Eat the
it's
right
a fight.
foods.
It's a fight. It really is a
Yeah.
fight. You know what I'm saying? Because your mind is telling you no. And then the other part is telling you yes. So which wins? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's what the thing is which one wins on today, basically.
Hmm.
So day by day is what we need to live. Who are you today and what I can achieve today? And leave it as that. Each day you can achieve a goal. And don't put no more pressure than what the next day is.
Because you don't want to get so far into a depression where you can't get out of bed and you literally can't get up
Right.
because your body is so stuck. Then you can't work out. So I would say nip it in the bud before you get to that level, because there's levels to depression, just like there's levels to all mental illnesses and on spectrums and things like that. So it's like, I don't know, just if you start now, when you're able to do a little
Right.
bit, and before you know it, you'll be able to do a lot
Exactly.
and be in
Hey,
a really good place.
little steps can go to great big steps. And that's the
Yeah.
key. And then that brings us to shows where it says research shows that the learning new skills can also improve your mental well-being, boosting self-confidence and raising self-esteem, helping you to build a sense of purpose, helping you to connect with others. Even if you feel like you don't have enough time or you may not need to learn new things, there are lots of different ways to bring learning into your life. Some of the things you could try to include, which is so true. We should
Yeah.
literally be trying to learn something. I mean, it really stimulates your mind.
Yeah. I know for me, it was writing poetry and writing music. It
Okay.
was like a new skill that I've been learning and that I kind of picked up like a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something that kind of helps my mental health, not just because I'm learning something, but also because it's like an outlet. Like
Right.
a lot of times, art and music and different forms of like painting and drawing or
Right.
metal work or just whatever you want to do, even if it's like, I don't know, axe throwing, whatever it is. Like if as long as you're trying something, you're working at something, and you have like a
Mhm.
purpose or a hobby or something like that towards what you're doing, then like it'll help you stay positive and stay happy and stay motivated to like not be so focused on always being stressed at work or focus on
Right.
things that you have to do. It could be something that you really want and like to do. It'll boost your not metabolism, boost your endorphins, and like kind of just push you to be more happy and positive throughout the day.
Exactly. And then another thing too, that's how for me, sacred healing was developed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed something. It was something to be, you know what? I had it inside of me the whole time. I had all, taken the time to educate myself, taking the time to learn this. And then finally it was like, okay, it's time. Like, it's
Mm.
time. Whatever you've been doing, it's time to bring it forth. And it's been therapy for me. Like, really, it really has, because everything that I was passionate about inside, I no longer
Mhm.
have to hold it in. So I don't no longer have to hold it in. And that means that I get to act on it. And if it just so happens to work, then I'm thankful for it. Even if it didn't happen to work, at least I tried. There's
Yeah.
there's the greatness in trying and showing up. At least you tried. If it didn't work, then you know what? Let me try. Hey, I'm not going to stop trying to be great.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Take a new approach.
right, and sometimes and it's
Ask for help.
and great could be painful.
Yeah.
There could be some painful processes until you really become great where you want to be great at. So it's not easy, it really isn't. It's not what, you got to be ready to put in the work. And that's what people need to understand. Like, this is not made for the weary.
Yeah.
When mental health, in all capacities of mental health, we must be able to be sensitive enough to know that we all have some form of and experience some form of mental health issues. You can sit here and tell you haven't, and that's a lie. Just like, because we gave you yeah,
True.
seriously, we gave you some examples. Any kind of trauma in your life, I don't care what it is. Somebody you've had faced some kind of trauma in your life, whether it affected you differently from the next person, but you affected it. And we're nobody's perfect. Nobody's hey, we can't
Nobody's
judge.
without
Right, we can't judge,
trouble.
you know what I'm saying? We can't judge. We
What
got
the
to be
Bible say? We all have trials and tribulations and things
right.
like
We
that.
all have trials and tribulations, literally. And thinking of that, I'll continue to talk because I got a scripture and I'm
All
I'm
right.
going to pull it up. I
Yeah, I mean, we all
we
have
still want to leave you
trials and
in a
tribulations, and no one is without it. We're all going to go through things in life, and
uh-huh.
some is going to affect others harder than others. Some will go through more and tougher things, but at
Right,
some point, we're all going to have something in our lives, especially if you can't handle a lot. The little things might be what gets you the most.
right,
So it's okay to be honest with people, or be honest with yourself, and just like really let that be known and ask for help, and see what see what you can do about it to help yourself heal and feel
right.
better and get to a good place if you're at a low spot.
And and like you said, it's healing is a process. It's not like something that's going to happen overnight. Some healing takes, you got to be patient with yourself. That
Hmm.
during this process, probably the last five, no, and this is the honest to God's truth, the last 5 years, I've been developing and training patience. Now, I'm not a patient person. Like, literally, I'm not a patient person. But
Hmm.
God will put things in your life to force you to develop patience.
Hmm.
And so now I have patience to where I know that I have patience, because like certain situations that come up in my life and my trigger would just like, act out like I normally would act out. But now that same kind of situation could come to me, and the patience in knowing that you don't deserve my energy to, you feel what I'm saying? That side of me
Right.
doesn't deserve that energy anymore, because of after I released that bad energy, um, the way I felt, like it was self-inflicting me. So you don't give anybody that kind of a power to bring ugliness out of side of you. And the only one that has that kind of power is the Most High God. Period. So
Hmm.
I choose, to
If
live
he
my
wouldn't
life.
do that, he wouldn't bring ugly out of you. So
Right. So I choose
so
to be, you
why even
know,
act like that?
yeah, like I choose to have happiness, peace in my life.
Yeah.
When you have a point in your life where you don't have that, and then you have some kind of normalcy and some kind of peace, I don't want to damage that. Like, I feel
Yeah.
good and I'm in a good place right now. So why would I want to go back to a place where I wasn't feeling so good? And sometimes when we're going through that process, We go back a couple times until we get it right. You know what I'm saying? And then you get closer
Yeah.
and you're like, I feel strong enough to release.
Yeah, the
Like you
Bible
really
definitely
feel
says
strong
be
enough
slow
to
to
release.
anger.
What did you say?
The Bible definitely says be slow to anger.
Slow to anger. You know, let me see here. I'm trying to find. There's just one that I'm trying to get on here, and I know what it is. Hold on. Where did we go?
Take your time. We got plenty of time.
I know, but you know how it is. You be trying to. There's a specific one I want to, you know, but we're gonna go this. Okay, here we go. It's Psalms. I have seen and ended of all perfection, but thy commandment is exceeding broad. Oh, how love I thy law. It is my meditation all the day. Though throughout the commandments has made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditations. Could you imagine that you're constantly meditation on the Most High God's word? Literally, you're meditating in Him, and that's what meditation is. You know, when I say we need to be meditating into
Hmm.
God and the directions that where He wants us to go. Because you know what, we try everything else and it doesn't just seem to work. So you know what, I need to meditate on the things that He's required for me so I can live a prosperous life, that I can live a peaceful and joyful life. Like the joy comes from the Lord. They say our joy, our true joy comes from the Lord, which is true. Nobody can
And
bring
it's
you
funny you
down.
say that because last night when I was thinking about our talk shows today, and I was like, I wonder what scripture she's going to use. And I was like, whatever it is, I'm going to tie it back into the fact that focusing on Jesus Christ and reading the Bible and praying, not only praying, but also like reading the word and like strengthening your, your
Yeah,
relationship with God is good for your mental health. Like it'll help you throughout your day, throughout your struggles, throughout your problems, throughout your endeavors. Like it'll help you like, carry on and be positive throughout the day. Just like how they say like words of affirmation. Do that
yeah,
too. That's what the Bible is for you. It's a word of affirmation. Like it's something there to keep you strong and keep you, peace and
right.
keep you going.
And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
That's why I do what I do, because you know what, if I'm going to be found doing anything, I'm going to be found to where at least now from here on out that God can get the glory out of my life.
Right.
Like here, it's not mine. It don't belong to me. It's yours. I've done enough damage to it. I've done enough to where, you know what, I don't need to do that anymore. Like I'm a temple,
Right. God,
and
what can I do for you today?
like for literally,
Guide my steps today.
like really, like what can I do? Like
And
even if
take
it's
some
just
of the pressure off of you too. Like
yes,
when you wake up and you're
like
not worried
here,
about like what do I have to do for
take it.
myself?
Like
Someone
literally,
else
we're
is
not supposed to
bigger than me and
carry
take
it.
control.
We're not supposed to carry it, and we carry it.
I know.
We carry it for what? We're not supposed to. The Bible says, hey, we, our burdens are light. You know what I'm saying? We give it to Him. Our burdens are light, which is true because I had to learn the hard way, and now I have trust me, I have a full understanding. I should have paid attention before, but I was being hard headed, and not being obedient to what I should. And you get disciplined, and when you get disciplined, you get back up, and you don't do it again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it all works out. It all works out. It all works out. Like at the end, it all works out as long as we keep, striving to do better, striving to do what is required for our health, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. We have to take we have to be proactive in our own health, and,
Right.
and taking the steps. And you know what? Some people don't understand. It could be lonely when you're working on yourself.
Oh yeah.
When you're really working on yourself, it's lonely because you have to be focused to get yourself in the right place for you, that not everybody's going to understand you, and not everybody's going to understand what it takes to be you and for you to be great. And sometimes we got to seclude ourselves from people, and then they're thinking like, well dang, you don't talk to us, you don't want to be around us. It's not that. I'm just working on me.
And I was just telling my friend the other day, like sometimes that lonely stride
Mm-hmm.
is like a blessing, because like when God has someone that he's chosen for a good purpose or for like a
Mm-hmm.
high purpose,
Right.
he'll take you apart from everyone else who is there to like distract you. And
Right.
you'll have a lonely time and you'll have a lonely moment, but it's for you to be able to focus on God. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a purpose and you have something important that you're supposed to be doing. You
Right.
can't be distracted by worldly things. So you have to separate yourself.
And you
'Cause
have to. And it could be hard sometimes, you
yeah.
know? I mean, I've had to, like you said, and things that could distract us.
Mhm.
It could just not even be people. It could just be certain things that could be, distracting us that we say, okay, I got to get focused. I'm going to tell you nothing. I used to like to watch TV a lot.
Mhm.
And I don't know even if I was really watching it or as it was just kind of calming my mind down to kind of relax it, just, it just be on. Because most of the time I was asleep. I think it was just a noise. But, you get in where you just sitting there watching TV, like, what are you putting into your mind?
Yeah.
I'm letting somebody else stimulate my mind. That's not good.
Right.
Why don't I choose specifically what I want to stimulate my mind that I know that I can reap the benefits from it? Because sometimes you're just watching the TV and you're like, what are you benefiting?
Yeah.
So I chose to whatever I hear, whatever I see, um, that it has to benefit me somehow from here on out. So I really rarely, honestly, watch TV anymore because it wasn't benefit me. Like I didn't see any manifestations coming from it. Like my energy was not going to anything that was being productive.
Right.
And then when you're not productive, sometimes this is how for me. If I'm not productive in life, if me, that means that I'm not at a good mental state. That means I'm
Right.
exhausted. I don't have the energy to put into it. It just I don't have the motivation, which
That's
is
how I feel when I go to work. When I have a job, which I don't
yeah,
have one, but when I have a job and I'm at work, like people are always complaining about their job. I love working. I think it's the best thing in the world. I could be stressed at work, but
right,
I would rather be stressed at work making money than be at home doing absolutely nothing and stressed by myself.
right. So yeah,
So
so it there you go, and that's the thing is like where you rather be, and I don't me being at the house is just not like one of them just to be sitting. When
yeah.
COVID hit, oh my goodness, when they told me I had to be off work for like a month, I mean literally, I'm looking like a month. Like, what am I supposed to be doing for a whole month? Not that I didn't have the money in savings for it. It was that,
Mhm.
like, what am I going to be doing? I have a routine. Like, my routine needs to still be going on. I get up at the same time. I got to do this. So I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
where am I going to fill that time and routining? And that was where recreation came about, where I started gardening and getting into growing natural herbs. And before you
Mm.
know it, this is kind of how it all came to pass. But I had to recreate, learn something because if I had to sit there for a whole month and watch some TV,
Can you
listen,
imagine how horrible your
listen,
life
girl, hey, you had to come get me. Then it had an ambulance
and
over
then
there,
go
like,
back to
no,
work
she didn't
after
chill
that
out.
month? You would have been a lazy slob.
I mean, my gosh, clean out the closets. I mean, everything was getting, I had thrown things away. And when it stopped, I was like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't just be sitting here because I'm so used to always being busy, but being busy, being productive. I don't want to just be busy
And
to be
that's a good
busy.
thing. It's a great thing to stay busy. You're supposed to stay busy. You're supposed to stay active. That's part of it, you know?
Right,
Keep your mind going. And I
right.
don't mind the devil's workshop, they say. So you gotta, I mean, it's the
Yes,
Bible, they didn't
yes.
say, but
And
you know.
it's the
So
truth. It's the truth. We really have to
yeah.
keep ourselves busy. So I try to keep myself busy enough to where it's not overwhelming. Um, I took on some new things in my life that I didn't at first it was like learning. So I didn't know where to
Mhm.
kind of properly manage it to where it wasn't overwhelming. So the first couple of months it was kind of where I felt like overwhelmed. Now
Mhm.
I know how to manage it. Like what falls into what category of priority.
Mhm.
Me, I was trying to put everything as a priority. Well, I can't do everything at one time. There's only
Right.
one me. My mind is saying I could do this, 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 and this. Right?
But yeah, that's just your mind planning it out. Once you actually
Right.
dive into stuff, it's a different story. Like once you get everything, like, wait a minute,
Right,
did I
right,
forget to do that? Like, wasn't I
right,
supposed to be doing something today? Like,
right,
oh god, my planner is getting full.
right,
Yeah, I
right.
don't have enough hours travel time. But
Exactly. But you know what? Tonight was really good. This was very helpful. So we're getting ready for our closing out. But we thank you for joining us on tonight. Like I said,
Yes,
just
thank
hey, we're
you.
trying to give out as much information as we can to better health, better mental health, better to understand what what mental health is about. We're here honestly to tell the truth. We don't have anything to hide, so whatever it is that needs to come out, we're going to be honest with us and honest with you. But we appreciate you joining us this evening, taking the time out, and we look forward to seeing you guys again. But you guys have a good evening. Bye
Bye, guys.
bye.
Peace.